In the last video, we set up all the environment for the scrapy. Now we have to get started with the new project, and for that, scrapy give us some basic commands. If you write scrapy on the terminal, it will give you all the list of the commands. Uh, and let me clear with the notepad first. And for get started, I want to looking for the command called startproject, which initialize the empty project for us with the folder structures, basic folder structure. And wait for scrapy start project and the project name whatever you want, and it will create the couple of folder, and in one module with the init.py, the blank file for the module that it says this is the module. And in the spider folder you need to create those spider. Now what is spider? The spider is what we call a bot, in which in that file we will create the crawler. The crawler will fetch the data from the internet pages, and let's get started. Import script is the first step, and then we need to define the class with the name you want. I will prefer here the file name as well, and in the argument we need to inherit the scrapy spider name. Now remember, scrapy.spider is not the class, it's a function or it's package, I guess. We need to install scrapy.class with the S capital in the name, right? Then we need to define the name. Now what is name? From this particular name, we're gonna run our spider through the command line. So make sure you give the name unique in all the spider you create in the particular your project, particular one scrapy project. If you give the same name for spider to all the spider, it will give you an error. And there is the start URL, a list in which you can give the name of multiple URL that you want to scrape, you want to fetch the data. I'm going to starting with scraping the Google home page. Yes. And what we want to scrape here is, okay, let's get started with the function first. The parse function. Scrapy automatically define this parse function. If you don't have to call this class or this method initialize by you. If you write the command for scrapy to run, it will automatically call that parse function. Now what we want to scrape here in the Google page is the link that says the header. And how we gonna know? Yeah, inspect, and then there is, yeah, you can see that scrapy a fast powerful scrapy spider. We want to scrape that particular header. So how we gonna scrape that? How we gonna get that particular xpath? Now do you know what is xpath? There are two types of xpath. You can go and Google relative xpath and the absolute xpath. Absolute xpath is started with the from dodge html, and then going to the particular line, like I'm going to here at the top of the header the link. Then it will start like html division, and absolute path is also get start with the only one write forward slash with the HTML and the root to trunk hierarchy. And the another is the relative path, which always consider with the double right forward slash, and we probably give them ID in the the braces, the square braces with the double slash or whatever ID given in the HTML page. Now you can see we find the XPath for the all the header here using the relative path, and it giving us common path to scrape that Google scrapy result headers. And it seems difficult to write if you here you can see the XPath. Why am I using XPath? The simple reason is XPath is okay. You will get to know in the little time, but there are multiple ways to scrape the using this HTML page. XPath, you can use CSS as well. But I want to use XPath. You can use CSS as well. But it seems for me that XPath is easier for me. So we will use XPath throughout this series. Yeah. Now it seems a very large page, right? And going through the XPath, it seems difficult. And I say XPath is easy, but there is a one reason behind it. It's a shortcut. Find the XPath for the whatever you want to scrape from the this page or maybe any page. I will get it to that later. But first, let me get started with you know scraping this page through the XPath by getting the XPath of this particular header. For now, we are gonna only scrape that particular first header with the XPath. And here I got the XPath and the square the one. It means you need to have the only first element of the 15 header, and to pass. And now what we want to do, you can see the response and the argument defined is star and a argument metadata in the function, but here we want to get the response. Now how we got the response? Scrapy gonna scrape the URL whatever you pass in the start URL and give us a response. The very first response that page allow, it will give it as a response in a HTML page without loading JavaScript. And there is a method called response.xpath. If you're using the CSS, there is a response.css, and the argument is whatever we xpath selected, or in case of CSS whatever CSS we selected, dot extract underscore first. Extract underscore first will get that particular xpath value whichever you showing when you pass on the Google Chrome with the Alt F and pass the value, and whatever highlighted value will gonna get in here. I run the command scrapy crawl and the name of the spider that I told you earlier that we need to pass it. Now we got the some error that robot.txt is not allowed to scrape. Now I need to make it false. in the setting.py. We'll get back to the setting at the later point of time. Let me run again, and we got the error again. Now what is this for? Yeah, that's my bad. It's the wrong spelling mistake. Extract underscore first is the method name, and we got the none here. Yeah, there may be some xpath value error. Let me check with it. What is wrong with the xpath? Yeah, okay. Let me see what we are getting through the cut of some hierarchy in the xpath. Uh, Now, if you want to know, Scrappy will also run with the class name as well, but we always gonna use the name of the spider with the class name in the class name which we define. Now we got that header. Yeah, we need to scrap that, and how we gonna scrap that text element? Yeah, here's the class is defined, so we'll pass the class. Maybe class is dynamically loaded for every page. No, I don't think so. So then there is some issue. Let me solve this. Yes. So header 3, to scrape all the list of the file, we need to loop through the every link, every header from the 15 or 17 links, and with the for loop item is the response dot xpath. Only xpath. We don't need to write the extract first here because we are not extracting. We are looping through it. So now these two lines is going to be in the for loop, and response.xpath will replace by the link whatever you define in the for loop, a for variable, and all the link will get the parent xpath from the for loop. Like here is division is, we don't need to pass it. We just need hierarchical path. Whatever comes after division, we need to define that in the for loop under the variable dot xpath dot extract first. Let me see what we get. Yes, we indeed get the header, but you can see here we are getting the same result. And why is that? Why is that? It's looping. Yes, it indeed looping through the all the line, but we need to pass here the relative path with the dot ahead of the item. Dot will define tell the xpath that these all are differently go through to each and every link and get the every other link, right? So now you can see that we got the every result with a different name. So it did indeed work, and yes, you can match this with the page. And yeah, guys, do like and subscribe. We are going to deep dive into cross platform, like using scrapy with the selenium, or maybe docker with the scrapy place in the later point of time in this series. Now, what is robotic.txt? Robotic.txt define the who allow this particular page or this particular domain pages allow us to scrape. So here you can see the define bot list, that if you're going to scrape this page, if it's disallow for you, then they may gonna block you. And if you guys know or not, that Google use scraper for the search engine, and whatever you write in the search engine, it and there are multiple bots going through around the internet and scrape the pages for you and give result to you. And you can found this robot.txt in probably the most sites, and they probably allow the Google to scrape their pages and give you the result. There are multiple files to know about, which we'll discuss later point of time. Right now, just yeah. See you. Bye bye in the next lecture.